Good gravy. Screw that up. There we go. I think that worked. All right. Hey, on the Mars, what up, dude? How you doing, man? Jedi Protector, yo, what up? Dawnsbury Days? I don't know what that is. Let's go. Let's go full stream. It's full screen. Cody, what's up, man? Oh, first time next week? In real life? Oh, have you done it before? Like online or whatever? Now you're doing it in person? I think like there are things that make in person easier, like just it's technology tends to get in the way sometimes. Like in person you can just if you need a map, you just draw out a quick map on the draw erase board, you know. If they go somewhere where you weren't expecting them to go and then all of a sudden you need a map because like there's combat or something, then you just draw something out really quick. It makes it really easy. But like when you're playing online and the expectation is to have like nice maps and stuff to go with your tokens and the monster tokens and stuff like that, then I don't know, man. It can get rough sometimes. And then sometimes, you know, people can't get their character sheets on D&D Beyond to work, or the dice won't roll. Like, I don't know, man. It seems like there are a lot of headaches that happen online that you just don't get in person. You know, the people talking over each other. There's just a lot of stuff. In person seems to be a lot easier in a lot of ways. Now, it does take up more time because, like, if I'm hosting like a game, you know, I have to get all my stuff around. I gotta like probably, you know, clean the house a little bit. And there's usually like, I don't know, probably 2 hours of additional prep time that I need when I'm hosting something in my house. Whereas if I'm just playing online, then I don't need those 2 hours of prep time. I just turn on my stuff and I go, you know. So there are like pros and cons, I suppose, but I like both. I think playing in person's more fun, but there are lots of things that make online play easier, except for the maps part. The maps is always going to be a little rough. But what I started to do right now is for one of my games, I literally have one of my scenes in Foundry VTT is universal dungeon terrain. You know, those like concentric circles. So that one is like if you're in melee, then you're within ranged attack, and then in the third circle you're like too far away for you to affect anything in the combat, you know. And so I have universal dungeon terrain ready on a scene, so that if the players get into a scrape somewhere where, because you could always just use theater of the mind, obviously, but sometimes that's not ideal. But if they get into a scrape somewhere where I need something, then I can just use universal dungeon terrain, which works super well. You know, and then when they go somewhere that I'm expecting them to go, then I can have a prepared map because I was expecting them to go there. Oh, by the way, yeah, tonight we're just hanging out doing Q&A, guys. That's it. Just hanging out doing Q&A. We do have a giveaway. There should be. It looks like Nightbot is kind of working, but it hasn't posted the giveaway. I'm gonna see if I can post the giveaway. Giveaway. I think I might have been able to get the giveaway to post. There you go. So there's the link to the giveaway for tonight. We'll draw the winner at the end of the stream. I have both a cat and a dog that want to come up here. I think the cat should be, yeah, see, the cat can come up here. Listen, doggy, you are needy. Yeah. So yeah, join the giveaway. You can get $50 DM Lair store credit, and then we will draw the winner to the giveaway at the end of the stream. You've been running a Godstein and somebody just turned off the sun? Oh, that's cool. Oh, Punch the Bag. Hey, what up, dude? First time. Welcome, dude. I'm glad you like the videos, man. Good to see you, dude. Foxy Project says, what tea are we drinking today? What was this? Raspberry hibiscus. I think it was like raspberry hibiscus. Hold on. They might say on the... It doesn't say. I'd have to... Oh, wait. Hold on a second. Ugh. We're digging through our trash for Foxy Project. Yeah, you like that? You like the smell of trash? Yeah, you like the smell of trash, don't you? I'm pretty sure she really likes this. Yeah, it's raspberry hibiscus. Yeah, there you go. I dug through the trash for you. You're welcome. Oh, I'm running a Godstein right now too. It's pretty cool. I'm enjoying it. Robert, what's up, dude? Yeah, you cook dinner now. You can like eat and watch the stream, man. Traveling Ashlar. Yes, I am doing some events at Gen Con. I don't know. Actually, I think I got some messages from them that they may have. I don't know if they were accepted because I submitted them late. I'm looking through my emails right now. What did those messages say? I don't really pay attention to them. Okay, so I submitted 3 games and they have been accepted for consideration as of like May 4th. And it says, this means that we did not find any problems in your submission, but it has not been given a location and is not active yet. And we will place this event with others that were submitted in the same cycle and confirm space for it soon. So I have submitted 3 different games for Gen Con, but you're not going to find them in their event searcher yet because it hasn't been like officially accepted. You know, they're looking for space or something. I was late submitting them. Of course, I was late submitting them. So yeah, that's what happens when you're late. Oh yeah, Into the Fae, dude. Grab that, Han. It's good. I wrote it. It's like, I have to say that it's good, right? Because I wrote it. Portal Saw says, hey, I was literally just listening to your DM 101 series. I'm going to be running a game on the 24th. Cool. Awesome, man. So you're like binging on like 100+ videos. I don't even know how many videos are in that series. I think I have 100. Hold on. I can tell you how many videos are in that series. Because I organize my scripts, and I can tell you how many scripts are in my DMing 101 series. It is I literally have 200. Well, not all of them have come out yet. I have 200 scripts that I've made. Like I can, here, I'll show you my proof. I'll show you my proof. Hold on a second. So like this is my script folder, right? I have all of my YouTube scripts organized, and these are all the scripts for Dungeon Mastering 101. It's literally like 01, finding players, and then the 200th script, the 200th video is going to be on running Godstein games. So I just scripted that the other day. So yeah, there's a lot of videos in that series. I know the dog is like, why'd you stop petting me? You're needy. You're needy. Cody says it's much more the social aspect. This is the first time my friends are going to play. I'm just trying to find the right balance of being an absolute nerd and having a good introduction for them. Oh, no, it doesn't matter. Everybody will have fun. Be a nerd or have some sort of introduction. I don't know, it doesn't matter. Just get together and have fun, and don't worry too much about the introduction, because like that represents like what 0.01% of the game time you're gonna have together. So even if your introduction sucks, like the rest of it, which hopefully will be better than sucks, is going to make up for it, and they probably won't even remember it. And if they do, who cares? They'll just say, yeah, the introduction sucked, but man, the game got really good and it was awesome. And then, you know, you'll just laugh about it or something. So I have not played. Have I played Paranoia? I think I might have actually played Paranoia once at a convention. I think I did. Is that the one with that uses the Jenga tower? Is that the one that uses the Jenga tower? I think that's the one we played. I'm pretty sure that's the one we played. I might be getting my game systems mixed up though, because I only did that once. Yeah, I played Call of Cthulhu. I've never ran Call of Cthulhu. I've been a player in Call of Cthulhu, and it's fun, but I'm not like Call of Cthulhu it's an investigation game, right? Like I know everybody says it's horror, and it is, but it's an investigation game, right? And investigation isn't like, so when you look at the three pillars of gameplay, right? You have combat, you have exploration, and you have social interactions. And in Call of Cthulhu, if you're doing combat, something went wrong somewhere, and you're probably in big trouble. So you tend to avoid combat whenever possible. So Call of Cthulhu games are usually very heavy on exploration and then social interactions. And a lot of times in the convention games I've played in, the social interaction has been kind of minimal to a certain degree, and they've really leaned a lot toward exploration. And exploration is the pillar I like the least. Like, I like combat to a certain extent, like you can overdo it, right? And I like social interactions, the talkie stuff. But exploration as a player is probably the thing that I dislike the most. It bores me, right? The interesting thing is that as a game master, I don't mind running exploration scenes. Like, I'm fine running an exploration scene. As a player, I dislike them though. And I don't know why. I have no idea why that is. I just know that it's true for me, right? So a lot of times when I'm in these Call of Cthulhu games, it really just depends. I was in one that was really bad. I've been in a couple that I can remember that were bad. One of them, this was years ago. One of them I walked out not even halfway through. I called it quits. It was the guy was he was essentially, we had no choice. We had absolutely no choice about anything. Like, we would declare actions and declare that we were doing things, but it didn't matter. And you know, and once I started to figure out that no matter what we did, it didn't matter. We call it railroading, right? He had an idea for where the game was going to go, and he was going to take us there no matter what we did. But once I started to see that we didn't have any power over what we were doing, and that he was telling a story, once I started to see that, I got really bored. And what did I do? I went to the bathroom. I walked to the vendor hall for a little bit during the middle of the game. I was like, I go to the bathroom, and then I left, and then I walked to the vendor hall a little bit, and then I came back. I probably was gone 20 minutes. Came back, and then I think I lasted another 20 minutes, and then I was like, I'm sorry guys, I gotta go, and I just left because, like, I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't take it. It was too much of it. I lost interest in playing because I started to see, you know what I'm saying, that it didn't matter what you were going to do. He had already, the game master had already decided what was going to happen. So why continue playing? What's the point of playing? You know? And this guy, like, he had really prepared very well for that game. Like, there was history. I think he gave us lots of information and cool information about different, I think it was like military technology, or it was something. It had to do with the game, but it was really interesting information. It was really cool. I think he even had like a projector that was showing slides. Like, he was flipping through slides on a projector showing us information. Like, it was next level as far as like handouts and presentation. It was next level. Like, he had prepped his brains out. He knew his stuff, but it was a horrible game. And it was horrible because there was no agency. I had no control over anything that was happening. We were being told a story, and that's what made it a horrible game. And I think this is like this is like a good example of why, like, sometimes, like, people will think, or they might wonder if, like, you have to have all these cool things, like you have to have all these minis and painted, and do you have to have like all these cool maps, and like, or they'll be like, or they'll think that if you have Dwarven Forge or really cool terrain, that's what's going to make your game amazing. And people will, these are like misconceptions, right? Because I've been in games where they were next level in some of these aspects, like this what I'm talking about right now, next level, and super like prepped and prepared and stuff, but the game sucked. So it's like you could have amazing, and like Dwarven Forge looks cool, you got to store it somewhere, you got to spend a bunch of time setting it up, you know what I mean? And then, if your players decide to go somewhere else, what are you going to do with that? You set it up on the table. So, I mean, it's cool. It has limitations and stuff, but like if you have it though, thinking that having that is what is going to make your game amazing is just erroneous. Now, it might make your game more interesting and more fun, right? People might really enjoy having some cool props. Like, I love minis. I was literally painting minis today. Like, this is a mini that I was working on today. You probably can't see it too well. The lighting is kind of sucky for a mini right here, but I was painting minis today because I love beautiful painted minis. Not the cheap, crappy pre-painted ones that you buy, but like the ones you paint yourself that actually look good. So like, I love that stuff, and I love enhancing the game with those things. But it is a mistake to think that those props, those things, will make your game like the ultimate awesomeness. It's not true. Like, at the end of the day, you can take a game master that has no minis, no Dwarven Forge, no props, no handouts, no nothing. He's running 100% theater of the mind, and it's amazing, and it's crazy fun. And you can take another guy who's invested thousands of dollars in Dwarven Forge and minis and maps and handouts and all these other things, and his game might suck because at the end of the day, he doesn't got the skills, the technique, whatever you want to call it, of a good game master. He spent a bunch of money on props and stuff, but he doesn't have like the I don't know, the skills. That's the only word that's coming to mind. He doesn't have the skills or maybe the experience to like back it up. It's kind of like if you go out and buy a bunch of like, high tech, like you get body armor and like ARs and all this kind of stuff. If you don't have any training, you're gonna get smoked by a dude with like, I don't know, some piece of crap rusted knife or something. I don't know. It's very simplistic analogy, but like the training, the expertise, the experience will allow you and help you to put like minis and Dwarven Forge and other crap like that to good use. But if you don't have that underlying foundation, then it doesn't matter all this crap you got. You know what I mean? It just doesn't matter. And the other game that sucked, what was the other game? That game that I walked out of, that was a Call of Cthulhu game. I just walked out. I was like, I'm done with this. And then the other game that I didn't walk out on it, but it was very boring, and I think I was on my phone a lot. The other one was also Call of Cthulhu. And that one, the problem with that game was we were investigating in different locations and different things and all this kind of stuff, but we kept on finding the exact same information, the exact same clues in everywhere we went. Everywhere we went, it was the exact same information over and over and over and over again. Like, our payoff, our reward was the same every time. Like, I think it was by the third time that we had investigated in a certain place and had gotten the exact same information that we already knew, that didn't lead us forward at all. It didn't carry the plot forward. It didn't like give us a little bit more and make us more curious so that we would press on and then find a little bit more that would fill in some more of the details and stuff. Like, we just kept finding out the same information every time. And it was like, by the third time we found the same information, I was like, okay, this is stupid. What's the point? what's the point of playing the game anymore? Like, we're literally spinning our wheels because we're not getting anything new. It's the same information. It's the same information. I was talking to after I was talking with this was actually at it was at Chaosium Con not too long ago, and Seth Skorkowski was there, and I can't pronounce his last name. I'm sorry. And I was talking to him afterwards. We were hanging out in the parking lot talking for a couple of hours, just, and then inside we were just talking a while. We were talking a while, but I was telling him about this. I was telling him about this game that was really bad, and what he said, his comment was, "It sounds like that game master took the 3-clue rule too literally, or something." And I was like, "Yeah, something like that." That's pretty close, you know, because the whole 3-clue rule is you're supposed to have, like, in any given scene or something, you're supposed to have 3 clues, so that if they miss some, they still find one or something. But he kept on recycling the same information, the same clues, and it got old very fast. So I don't know what the point was of talking about those 2 games, but we got on the topic. Cervix says, I can't stand puzzles as a player, but I love running them as a DM. Yeah, I don't like puzzles either. They're boring to me. Like, I just don't... Yeah, give it a good shake. Give it a good shake. What are they doing over there? Is he stealing your water? Is he stealing your water? The cat's stealing your water. You don't care. You want to go down now? You want to go down? Be nice. Be nice to the kitties. Be nice. What was I saying? Oh yeah, puzzles. Yeah, I don't like puzzles. I don't like puzzles as a player. I don't like puzzles as a game master either, because I have to make them, and I'm not good at making puzzles. I don't like it. Don't forget to join the giveaway, guys. We're doing a giveaway tonight. $50 DM Lair store credit. There's like bunches of links in the chat and stuff. So, oh, I should probably do that. There we go. Nice. Kat says, how have things been since that Kickstarter fell through? I hope you're not too stressed. You're my favorite D&D YouTuber. Well, thank you, dude. I appreciate that. No, I'm not stressed. We're fine. We're okay. We're recovering. You know, you get kicked in the teeth. You got to get back up again. So we're all right. It doesn't. We're cool. We're gonna be doing. We're already working on our next Kickstarter. We're gonna be doing Escape from the Fae, and that is gonna launch September. Yes, September. That's going to be launching in September. I think it's like the second week of September. We'll do Escape from the Fae. That's the one that I wrote last year. I wrote that as a sequel to Into the Fae. So I'm excited to publish that. Like I told Zach. I told Zach. Zach's the guy. He's the guy who works for me. If you see him in chat here, he's Goliath Cleric. I don't think he's here tonight. He's probably like chilling or something, which is cool. He knows that he doesn't have to be at these streams. What was I gonna say? I was telling Zach, I was like, yeah, like I have like two things that I personally, like, my personal goals to get published are Escape from the Fae. I want to get that bad boy published, and then Layers and Legends 3, the 3rd installment. I want to get that published. So I was like, there's more that we're almost surely gonna keep doing, but I was like, my personal goals right now is I got to get those things done. I want those on my shelves. I want those things published. I want them, because as for Escape from the Fae, I wrote it. Like, I keep saying I wrote it, but the truth is that Zach made all the monsters. So they're like, I think we have 90 monsters in Escape from the Fae, new monsters, really cool ones too, really cool ones. So I think, what did I do? I think I gave him like some basic ideas, and then he fleshed them out into really cool monsters. So we have tons of really awesome. Sometimes I didn't give him too much of an idea. He just kind of came up with something cool. But he made the monsters, and then I wrote the adventures for it. So I technically I can probably only claim that I wrote half of the book. I wrote the adventures. Zach made the monsters. But what was I gonna say? But because like I wrote like a good portion of this sucker, like I'm invested. I want to get this thing published. So we're gonna do that in September. And then Layers and Legends 3, I want to get that one because it's like we did Layers and Legends 1, we did Layers and Legends 2, and it's like I want to have the third one, you know, to like cap that off, to have the, what do you call it? The hat trick or something like that. So but yeah, we're doing okay. Yeah, the Dungeon Drifters thing was just kind of like, yep, that sucked, but whatever. We learned some good lessons from it, I think, so we'll be fine. But we're recovering, you know, it's not the end of the world. Do you have any tips for running Curse of Strahd? Well, are you running it for 2014 or 2025 version of D&D? That's a good question right there. If you're running Curse of Strahd for D&D 2014, you're going to have to buff all of the encounters, and you're especially going to have to buff Curse of Strahd himself in the final encounter. If your players get the artifacts and stuff like the Sun Sword and all the other cool stuff, Strahd will not stand even around, dude. He is a pushover weakling. You have no idea how poorly balanced. Like you want to say balanced? It's not even balanced. It's just like it's underwhelming. You know, like you say, well, Luke, if they get all those artifacts, shouldn't it be easy? No, it shouldn't. Like without the artifacts, it should be impossible. With the artifacts, it should be challenging to defeat Strahd. Because he, in his demiplane of Barovia, he is essentially like a demigod, for all intents and purposes. So like even with those artifacts, it should be challenging. But the way that the module is actually written, it is a pushover. It is an absolute cakewalk, cheese walk. It is ridiculously easy. That's for 2014. But there's a huge power creep, a massive power creep that happened between 2014 and 2024. So if you're running Curse of Strahd, if you're running any of the older modules and the older the module, probably the worse, right? The official modules. There are other modules that probably this doesn't hold true for, but officially published modules by Wizards of the Coast, like if you take a 2024 group of characters and run them through a 2014 module like Curse of Strahd, holy crap balls, they're just gonna like, everything is just gonna be like ping ping, oh, you can't hurt me, and then you're dead. Your characters, listen, you gotta relax. You need to be with daddy. You have to be with daddy. You big baby. Don't lick me. There's no licking. She eats cat poop. You can't let her lick you. What was I saying? Yeah, no, you're gonna start licking me. You're gonna get put in the ground again. Crazy maniac. Just gonna put your nose under my armpit. That'll stop her. Yeah, if you're running a 2024 group through an older module like Curse of Strahd, they're just gonna curb stomp everything. So you gotta buff everything. Rebalance all your encounters, buff them like crazy, man. The same is true for they need buffing in 2014 if it's a 2014 group, but if it's a 2024 group, they're really gonna need buffing, big time. Curse of Strahd sucked. Like what did I do? I gave him what's the aura anti-magic shield? What is it called? It's like an 8th or 9th level spell that makes it so that magic doesn't affect you at all in like a bubble around you. What is that called, guys? Somebody help me. I can't remember what the heck that's called. But I gave that to Strahd had that up at the beginning of the fight. And it's a concentration spell. And I gave him Warcaster so that he got advantage on all saves to keep his concentration. And so the artifacts didn't work within his anti-magic aura field thingy. And their weapons didn't work. Their spells didn't work. And I also made Strahd immune, just straight up immune to spells 3rd level and lower. Gosh, I had minions with him, like not just weak minions. I had beefy minions with him, big time minions. Do you know that fallen angel that's over in that one town? I can't remember the name of it is, but he's like the friar, or he's at the monastery, and he's like the head of the monastery. I forget what title he has, but the players literally convinced that fallen angel to take his flesh golem bride to Strahd, and Strahd converted them into his own minions. And so like they were part of the waves that my players had to fight against Strahd. Obviously there were vampire minions. One of the minions was, I believe one of the characters became an NPC or something and went over to Strahd's side and they fought him. I think that happened. I might be getting confused with something else. That might have been a different campaign I ran that I'm getting confused with, because that might have happened twice in my games. But I had to do a bunch of beefy stuff to get Curse of Strahd to even be a little bit challenging. And in my opinion, our final fight with Curse of Strahd wasn't even challenging. It still didn't feel challenging. It didn't. Now, if you do the thing where as a lair action, Strahd can just pass through walls, so he could pass through like the floor and then to a different level and then just wait, 5 rounds to heal all the way back up, and then he can come back and fight a little bit and then retreat and fight and retreat. If you do that, yeah, you can make it more challenging, but you're also going to make it a slog where it will just be like, oh my gosh, he just keeps retreating and healing, because he's got regeneration. So all he has to do is go through the floor at the end during his lair action and then wait out 5 rounds, and the players can't find him, they can't get to him, they gotta go try to find him, and then he's healed up, So there are things you can do using him as written that will make him very challenging, but it doesn't actually make it fun. It just makes it a slog if you were to run it that way. It's essentially just giving him like unlimited hit points is what it would be. And you know what I mean? So I don't know. There are probably ways to run that and make it challenging as is, but you got to be kind of, in my opinion, sleazy and run a pretty crappy game, as far as, at least from the player's standpoint, if you want to do it. So I just buffed the crap out of it. Anti-magic field, that's the name of it. Thank you. Yeah. Man, you're such a pain in the butt, man. Gotta be up on my face. You need a bath too. Don't look at me. Don't even look at me. Trying to lick me in the face. No. I pull puzzles from dad joke books. How does that work, Fred? Doo-doo neck. What's up, man? I think that's how you say your name. I probably said it wrong. Hi, fan from Czech Republic. What up, dude? Tomorrow I plan to do big mage battle against the powerful lich. How could I do fun epic battle of just the spellcasters? Any hints and tips? Thank you. So there's gonna be a mage versus a lich, like a spellcaster versus a spellcaster. I don't know, man. How would I do that? Because the rules aren't gonna help you. I think it's gonna be like whoever runs out of counter spells first loses. Right? It's like I cast, nope, counter spell. And then it's the lich's turn. I cast, nope, counter spell. I cast counter spell. I cast counter spell. Like, if you run it rules as written, that's what it would probably end up being, is like whoever runs out of counter spells first. And then you're upcasting them. You're upcasting at level 4, at level 5, at level 7, Or you have to like hope that the lich casts a level 7 spell. And then the player casts counter spell, but he only casts it at level 4, which means that it doesn't automatically cancel it. You have to roll to see if he's able to cancel it, able to counter spell it, which usually they're successful when they make those rolls. In my experience, it's usually not that hard to be successful on that. So that's the thing that might happen. But like, how do you make that combat, mage versus mage, actually exciting? I don't know that I even have an answer for you. I've never done that before. I don't think I would try to do that because I don't think I'm not sure that the rules as written really like provide a path or a way to do that that would be like that I think would be fun. So honestly, probably the way that I would end up doing that is I would just see what happens. I would probably just run the mage versus mage versus lich battle using the rules as written. Leave the kitty alone. That kitty's not bothering you. Kitty's not bothering you. What's up, buddy? You are falling apart. You are shedding. That kitty's not bothering you. You are not the only one that can be with me and that has monopoly on me, dog. I think I would probably just run it rules as written and just see what happens, and it's probably gonna suck. but what else are you gonna do? Are you gonna like homebrew some sort of like spell dueling rule system? And what's that gonna look like? You know, how's that gonna work? Is it just gonna be like opposed arcana checks or something? I mean, what, you know what I mean? So I don't know how I would do that, honestly. I would probably not want to be in that situation because I don't think it might not work very well. I don't know. But it might work fine. It might work fine. I'm not sure. George says, will you buff monsters in Escape from the Fae to adjust for power creep of D&D 2014 characters? So this is what we're doing for Escape from the Fae. All right, you're done. You're done. Go find something to do. We designed Escape from the Fae for 2014. That's the way it was designed. And we recently have done polls of people on my YouTube channel and my patrons, and it is pretty solid that the vast majority of people are continuing to play 2014. And so what we're going to be doing is we designed it for 2014. The vast majority of people want 2014 rules, which doesn't surprise me, to be perfectly honest with you. So we're gonna publish Escape from the Fae. It's gonna primarily, the main focus for compatibility is gonna be with 2014 rules. And we're going to include ways to adjust encounters and adjust monsters if you are running it as 2024. Because here's the thing, it's a lie that they're just completely compatible. It's a complete lie. The game mechanics, yes. For the most part, are compatible between 2014 and 2024. But the power creep, 2024 characters are way more powerful. And you can tell because the encounter building in 2024 makes all of the encounters way more powerful or stronger, I should say, than in 2014. So there's a lot of power creep in the characters. You cannot deny that. You can't deny. I mean, I'm sure there are people that would, but they're wrong. So there's definitely power creep in the characters, which means that when you're running a 2024 game, you have to account for that, right? If you're using 2014 material. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be publishing it for 2014. That's the primary compatibility. And then there'll be sidebars essentially that say, hey, you know, this encounter right here, if you're running it for 2024, do this to make changes for it. And so that's what we're going to do. So if you're running for 2014, you're good to go. If you're running it for 2024, you're going to have to make little changes, and we're going to tell you what to change, right? We'll give you guidance on that. But that's basically how it's going to be. Most people want 2014. We're going to give it to them. But we're not going to ignore the 2024 people. We're going to tell them how to change things, but that's going to be our approach for it. My group has a member that has never run a game, and he just got Dungeon Crawl Classics and he wants to run it. Any tips for the rest of us as players to make his life easier? Yeah, so I would try to learn the rules too. If he just got Dungeon Crawl Classics and he's never ran it before and he's learning the rules and he's going to run it for you, Like, if the rest of you can try to learn the rules as well, that's going to make his life a lot easier, because you'll understand the rules and how things work, and he won't have to either look them up or have to explain it to you all. You know what I mean? So that'll make his life a lot easier, a lot easier. So that's the first thing I would recommend doing for Dungeon Crawl Classics. If he's just gonna run a funnel for you, then I wouldn't worry a whole lot about it, because the funnels. Look at the funnels in Dungeon Crawl Classic. It doesn't even if I ran a Dungeon Crawl Classic funnel for you, but I did not tell you it was Dungeon Crawl Classic, you would have no idea. You would think that it might be Shadow Dark, or it might be OSR, or it might just be some, I don't know, system that just uses your 6 ability scores. You know, the funnels for Dungeon Crawl Classic are like generic fantasy role-playing games. It's just super generic because it's a funnel. You don't even use any of your level 1 features, no spells, anything like that. It's a 0 level funnel. So if he's running a funnel, then there's almost nothing to learn. It's just kind of like, oh, you're playing a generic fantasy game. It's when you actually get to the levels, like level 1, level 2, and then Dungeon Crawl Classic turns into something totally different. Then it gets totally different. It gets a little bit weird. You get special abilities and stuff. The classes are like way different. You know, the most of the spells, a lot of the spells, probably most of them have tables to roll on for the spell itself. Like, things get a lot more complex when you're actually getting into levels, level 1 and on. But if he's just running a funnel, then it's like, yeah, whatever. Here's the problem. And this is why I almost never play Dungeon Crawl Classic at conventions, because at conventions, everybody's running a funnel. And a Dungeon Crawl Classic, I should say a Dungeon Crawl Classic funnel isn't actually a Dungeon Crawl Classic. You don't get to experience anything about DCC if you're just running a funnel. It's just like I said, generic fantasy role-playing game, you know? If you really want to experience DCC, you have to run a leveled game at level 1, level 2, level 3, etc. Then you're actually going to experience what DCC is all about, right? And that's kind of always been my annoyance too at conventions, for what it's worth. Everybody runs funnels, and it's just like, well, why are you running a DCC funnel? Like, who cares? It's just a funnel. You know what I mean? Like, we get it. We're a commoner, and we have a crowbar. You know, we're gonna die, and I roll up. I have 6 characters. I'm gonna run through them, and they're all gonna die. That's great. I mean, that's fun. There's nothing wrong with that. But like, it's not. You call it DCC, and it's like, I'm not really experiencing DCC. You know, it's like, none of the book is getting used. You know, so anyway, yeah, the funnels get old very, very fast. Exactly, and that's why I will not play DCC at conventions unless it's a leveled game, and then I'll consider it. You know, which would actually be kind of fun, because I've played DCC at conventions, but I've never played DCC because they've always been funnels. And it would be fun to actually play a real DCC game. And I'm sure they do. I'm sure there are game masters at conventions that run leveled DCC games. The problem is like, I'm never able to sign up for them. Like, they get people sign up to them too fast, and I can never get into them. You know, because like Gen Con will like open up. So when the events open on Gen Con, you know, like, dude, they're all sold out. Everything is sold out immediately. And so it's like, I don't know. That happened to me for, what was it? GaryCon. That happened to me for GaryCon. Like, I was actually for GaryCon, this last one, I was browsing the events, you know, I was adding events to my wish list and everything, the games that I wanted to play in. And then when it opened, like, people had already signed up to them and stuff, because everybody's just like boom, 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 boom. And then by the time I was there, I'm like, oh, everything's filled. So I signed up for games, but they were just ones that happened to still be open, you know. And it's probably gonna be like that for Gen Con too. Like, I'm gonna not be able to get into any good games at Gen Con, or I don't know if I shouldn't say good games, but like they wouldn't be like my first picks or something, you know. Because the thing is like, I don't want to play in D&D 5e games. Like, that has no interest for me when I'm going to a convention. I want to play in something. I want to play in a Shadow Dark game. I want to play in maybe a DCC game or a Castles of Crusades game, or I want to play in something different, something that is more interesting, and new to me than D&D. And the thing is that not as many people run those games, and so they tend to fill up faster. And everybody and their mom and their grandma and their dog are running D&D 5e, and so there's lots of those, but it's like I don't really want to run D&D 5e. Not as so you gotta calm it down. I'm gonna throw you on the ground again, you stink bomb. So I don't know what we were talking about. I don't even know if I answered the question. Let's just keep going. All right. Don't forget to sign up for the giveaway, folks. We have a giveaway going on. There's a link down in the chat. In the chat, we'll draw the winner to the giveaway at the end of the live stream. You can win $50 DM Lair store credit. What are your thoughts on people board gaming TTRPGs? I don't even know what that means. You'll have to explain what that is. How do you handle access to items during combat? Example, last game, one PC died. Another PC runs over and wants to use dead PC's Revivify scroll from backpack. I ruled an action to find it. Yeah, I feel like in D&D 5th edition, usually there's a interact with an environment that's considered a free action. There's technically there isn't a term called free action, but there's a sidebar in the D&D 2014 Player's Handbook that tells you that there's certain things that you can do on your turn that don't cost an action, and we would just always call them free actions. And one of them is interact with your environment. And it gives you like an example of like pick something off the ground, close a door, close or open a door. And so I've always ruled that grabbing something out of your backpack is an interact with the environment. So it's a free action. However, if I'm wearing a backpack, I know mostly where everything in my backpack is. But if I'm gonna go grab something from someone else's backpack, first of all, backpacks have several compartments. There's a big compartment, there are smaller ones, there are side pockets and pouches and stuff. Like there's lots of different compartments on backpacks. So like, I'm gonna have to search through these compartments to try to find that scroll. I feel like ruling that as an action is 100% justified. It's somebody else's backpack. It's gonna take you your action to try to find that scroll. I would 100% support that. Your player's probably not gonna like it because he just wants to be able to grab the scroll and cast it immediately and get the person back into the fight. But that's not realistic at all. So I think ruling it as an action is very, very reasonable. Have you ever run one-on-one downtime sessions? If so, any suggestions to help me do the same? So what I'm doing currently for my Shadow Dark game is this is what I'm trying. Well, I'm attempting this right now. What I'm attempting because we're gonna see how it goes is I'm attempting to do one-on-one downtime, but not through like real meetings, either through Zoom or obviously not in person because we live all over the place, but like not through real meetings, but just through chats on Discord. I'm trying to do downtime one-on-one. And so what I'm doing is I'm setting up separate channels for each of the players where during their downtime, they can tell me what they're doing, and then I can ask for die rolls, I can adjudicate it, and we can have time passing. So I'm doing that for my Shadow Dark game right now. I may remember to tell you how that goes. So I'm attempting to do that one-on-one with them, but via chat on Discord, right? And what's the other thing? Because we're using one-to-one timekeeping in that game. So if, for instance, their first adventure took place on April 15th or April 14th, and that's that was the date their adventure took place on. The next time we're going to play is May 25th. So, well, we played a week ago too, but the in-game time was still April 14th. But because we're using one-to-one timekeeping, by the time we get to our game session of April 25th, we have to make up about 6 weeks of downtime because we're using one-to-one timekeeping. So we have to make up 6 weeks of time, right? Because that adventure took place, and now we're gonna, that's how it works. So basically, my players have 6 weeks of downtime to work on, and so I was thinking about this, and I'm like, okay, if I have the beginning of the next game session be the adjudication of 6 weeks of downtime, that could end up being the entire game session, or at least a couple hours, maybe. Like, I know somebody's gonna be like, oh, you could get it done really fast with a die roll, 5 minutes each player. I know there's gonna be someone who thinks that's possible, and I would argue that they may not play in actual real D&D games, because it's never that clean. Well, you say that on paper, and it's like, oh yeah, just get it done in 5 minutes. Tell me what you're doing. Make a die roll. It's not that clean, dude. Even for 1 week, of downtime, it's never that easy. For 6 weeks. So anyway, I was thinking about that, and I'm just like, man, this could be half of the game session or more, just doing downtime to catch up because of the one-to-one timekeeping, And so I was like, I should just try to do this between game sessions on Discord and see how it goes. Let's see if that's manageable for me. And I say that because, like, my time, right? It takes me time outside of the game session to do that, and I don't know how that's going to impact my time, if I'm going to have the time to do that. So I'm attempting it. I'm going to see if it works. But that's how I'm doing one-on-one for downtime. Now, I know that there are people that have made videos that are very old videos at this point, probably 5 years old at this point, where they've talked about how in the good old days, when I was a kid playing, like, it would take the game master 5 months to get ready for their next campaign, or for the next adventure. And while they were getting ready for the next adventure, all of the players were doing downtime activities. And the game master would meet with them individually, and they would play out their downtime activities, right? So, like, it takes us 5 months to get ready for the next adventure. And so during those 5 months, the game master is meeting with the players individually, and they're doing downtime, and they're doing this, and they're making a fortification, or they're making a stronghold, and they're crafting, and they're doing all these other activities, all these cool things. And it was amazing. It was awesome, and it was beautiful, and all this kind of stuff. And, like, I listened to people tell that story, and I'm like, there's a reason it took the game master 5 months to create the next adventure for the group, because they were running one-on-one downtime all the time for the players. Of course it's going to take them 5 months to get ready for the next adventure. Come on. But of course, if they weren't getting together and meeting individually with the players to run one-on-one downtime, they'd get their next adventure designed a whole lot faster. So I hear them wax and wane about the good old days and how they used to do that when they first started playing, and when they were teenagers and stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, that's one of those good yarns that you spin that makes things sound really cool. And we're like yearning for, like, the nostalgia of, like, that's awesome and stuff. But, like, yeah, real life is messier than that. So anyway, if you're going to do one-on-one downtime, don't let it impact the actual game, like, because, yeah, don't let it impact the actual game and push it out. Neil Henderson says, I'd be interested in hearing Luke's take on running Shadow Dart campaigns and how they differ from 5e campaigns. So the first thing that I can tell you is that combat's way faster. I was literally in a game a week ago, not even a week ago, in 5th edition, and we were in combat the entire 4 hours of the game, which I don't particularly mind because like I'll take my turn, and then in this case I think I was putting together minis. I was assembling minis, and so I'll take my turn, which takes me about 5 seconds. Probably exaggerating. It probably takes me about 10 seconds to take my turn in combat because I've had 15 minutes to think about what I'm going to do. And so it's really easy to just say, yep, I move here, I attack, I do this, boom, boom, roll some dice, I'm done. So anyway, I don't mind 4 hours of combat because I get a lot of work done on my minis or whatever I happen to be doing, you know, because it's really hard for me to just play a game without engaging in something else, at least online. So, but anyway, what was my point? Oh, my point was that we were in combat for 4 hours. Now, it wasn't just one combat. I think it was at least 2, maybe 3 combats that all got mushed together because of reinforcements. So that's an important caveat. But even if it had just been the one combat, I think we did have one combat that was about 2 hours. The very first one was about 2 hours long. And in Shadow Dark, I don't think you're ever going to find a combat that long. Like, most of the combats that I've had in my Shadow Dark games are over very fast. It's pretty quick because there's not a lot of hit points. Things are brutal and very, very fast. So I think that's one of the big differences. Combat's a lot faster. I feel like because it's rules light, it's easier to run the game because I don't have to worry about all the rules and stuff. What else? What would I say about it? Homebrewing monsters is really easy because most monsters just have like their basic stats and then they have one special ability. Makes it really easy to homebrew some monsters. And you're like, well, shouldn't a monster have like 5 different cool things they can do? What for? How long does a monster live for in combat? 1 round? 2 rounds? Monsters don't even live that long. If they have like 5 different things that they can do, they're never going to do them all. You know? My cats are all puking in my basement here. So you don't need that many things for a monster to do. It's not that big of a deal. I think the torch tracking mechanic is really cool. The thing about Shadow Dark 2 is what's really different is, all right, you're done. Get out of here. What was I gonna say? Torch tracking with light and darkness and stuff. Characters can die. You have to you have to be very careful. And in D&D 5th edition, it's like you almost can't die. You're almost immortal, right? With the way the rules work. But in Shadow Dark, characters die a lot. And there's also you also and part of this tends to do with how the game master designs the encounters and the adventures, of course. But you tend to run into monsters that are pretty powerful and can obliterate you very quickly. And a couple characters might just be toast very quickly, you know. I'm just listening to cats puking in the background. I'm literally just listening to cats puking. It's distracting. Yeah, I don't know. It's faster. It's like the rules don't get in the way. I don't have to worry about like overpowered game. No. You've been up 3 times and you keep on doing stuff and you get kicked out. You're not coming back up again. You need to go lie down in your bed and relax. This dog. I feel like in Shadow Dark, I don't have to worry about things being overpowered that much. Like, I still have players that will sometimes ask to do things or have special abilities or something. Like, they'll want to use their downtime to gain, like, an extra attack or something. And I'm just like, no. You're not using your downtime for training to gain an extra attack. That is completely broken. So like, I'm not gonna allow you to do stuff like that, right? But I feel like I don't have to worry about overpowered crap too much in Shadow Dark. You know, I'm not worried about it. It's just like, oh yeah, whatever. If they happen to get a really good spell off, and like, what is it, the sleep spell? The sleep spell in Shadow Dark is really powerful, and it just, the thing is like, when in Shadow Dark, I feel like I don't have to worry about balance a whole lot. For some reason, I feel like I'm just liberated from worrying about balance, you know? And like, if the players trounce the characters, or if the characters trounce the monsters and they all die, it doesn't matter, because the next group of monsters, they might be the ones that beat the tar out of them, you know? So if they beat these ones up, it's not that big of a deal. And I'm also not worried about resource depletion in Shadow Dark. I don't have to worry about that. Because like, when you're running D&D 5th edition, you got to worry about resource depletion. You got to worry about getting the right number of encounters in the adventuring day to deplete their resources so that they're not too powerful when it comes to the boss fight and stuff. And it's like, in Shadow Dark, I don't got to worry about that horse crap. I can just like, whatever, you know? And then if they're too beat up and they need to rest, they're going to have to leave the dungeon, man. Almost assuredly, they're just going to have to leave the dungeon. And then you deal with that. So I don't know. I just feel like it's easier to game master Shadow Dark. There are fewer things I have to worry about. And for all of the traditional problems that tend to crop up with D&D 5th edition, like, I don't have to worry about them. I just don't. It's just like, I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to consider that, you know? So I feel like, I don't know. I'm like a broken record now. I keep saying the same thing, but I feel like Shadow Dark is just easier to run, and it's more fun too. And the game, the pacing is much better. It's much faster, you know. And with fewer rules, there's less to remember, less to look up, all this kind of horse crappity, and the rules don't get in the way of gameplay. Yeah, you don't have like stupid broken builds that people are like, you know, players, they like to do this like theory crafting of different builds and stuff, and they like to put together different broken builds and stuff. And I'm gonna worry about that in Shadow Dark. You know, it's like, that doesn't exist. It's just not, it's not an issue, you know? So I don't know. I like it. AJ Silver Radio says only one session a month. No, it's 2 sessions a month. Occasionally I have like a trip or something that I'm doing that I can't run for them, and we skip a week. It happens in any game. But we do run every other week. So what happened in my Shadow Dark game is we ran a game on April 13th, but that game, they were in the middle of an adventure when the game session ended. So on the next game session, they picked up right there. So in the game, it was still April 13th, but in real time, 2 weeks had passed. Now we're using one-to-one timekeeping, but for this particular instance, I paused the game right there. But we had 2 weeks to make up later on, right? For downtime to get time caught back up with real time. Because in one-to-one timekeeping, the whole idea is that in-game time is supposed to keep up and keep pace with real time in our time, right? But I paused it on April 13th. And then the next game session, we finished that adventure. Okay? And then it just so happened that this weekend, I can't play. What am I doing that I can't play? Oh, it's Mother's Day. It's Mother's Day. This weekend is Mother's Day, so I can't play. And there were going to be other players that would have trouble playing on Mother's Day as well. So it's, you know, it's not a bad reason to not have a game. So we're skipping this game session, which puts us right here. This is May 25th. So we had, the first game session was April 13th. Time paused for right here. And then we're skipping this game session, and now May 25th. So we have it turned out to be about 6 weeks to get caught up, to get our in-game time caught up with our real time is about 6 weeks when I like literally counted it on the calendar. And so now that's why we have 6 weeks of game time. So we're not playing once a month. It's just, that's the kind of the way it turned out, because we're using one-to-one timekeeping. I hope that makes sense, kind of. If you're not familiar with one-to-one timekeeping, that might be completely confusing to you. but it's not actually that complicated once you kind of know how that crap works, you know. It's like once you've done it and you know, then it's like, oh yeah, that's easy, you know. I'm gonna fill this. I'm not doing anything with you. You just need to relax. Have I made a video of my miniature or figurine collection? No, and I probably never will. It's not worth doing a video on. I mean, you know, it's like you got like, you do one video a week, and if I choose to do a video on something that I know will get no views, not only will it get no views, but it will offer nothing useful for game masters. You know, I have so many, I have a backlog of video ideas of like useful, cool stuff that I can share and talk about. And for me to like waste a week, I'm being honest, just being frank, you know, for me to waste a week showing off a miniature collection and to have a video just totally bomb and get no views and not really help anybody, but just kind of be like, you know, sharing my really cool miniature collection or something. That's just like, it's not worth, it's worth nobody's time. So no, that's something I would never do a video on. Speaking of combat, how do you do initiative? Because now my game comes to a halt for like 3 minutes after initiative is rolled. 3 minutes is not a big deal, dude. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it really impacts the momentum. It's life. What are you gonna do? Some people be like, well, just roll initiative for all your combats before the combats happen. It doesn't make it any faster. Because you're still gonna have to like, okay, we pre-rolled initiative. All right, now let's get everybody's like initiative marker set up in the proper order. That's not that much faster than just saying roll initiative. Okay, who's above a 30? Boom, boom. Who's above a 25? Boom, boom. Who's above a 20? Boom, boom. And then my monsters roll initiative and I put the monsters in their places. Like, yeah, it takes about 30 minutes or something. Who cares? It's not that big of a deal, you know? I feel like during those 3 minutes or whatever it is, the players are probably starting to think, oh, crap is going down. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Should I cast Fireball out of the gate? Ooh, there are a lot of monsters. Maybe I do Fireball. And then the fighter is like, okay, I gotta get to that guy because I think that guy's a spellcaster. He looks like he's a spellcaster. And so like during those 3 minutes that you're rolling initiative, like it's not wasted time because the players are processing, oh, we're going to fight. And hopefully they're beginning to think, what am I gonna do on my turn? So that the combat goes faster, right? So like, I don't feel like that's wasted time. You know, I feel like that they're probably using that time to think, but also that it's like, that is it's the suspense, right? Like crap's going down. And then there's the suspense of like, oh, now we're gonna wait. We're gonna see who gets to go first. We're gonna see what's gonna happen. What can these monsters do? How powerful are they? So like, I feel like this is something that maybe we worry about too much as game masters that is a non-issue, right? Like we're like, oh no, we wasted 3 minutes rolling initiative. Who cares, dude? It's a non-issue. You know, people worry too much about like kicking off a campaign and like, I don't want them to meet in a tavern because meeting in a tavern is so cliched. It's like, who friggin' cares, man? You start your campaign once and then it's like 15 minutes of your game session is how you start your campaign. And then you have months or years that you guys are playing that has nothing to do with how you started your campaign. So who cares? It's one of those non-issue things. It's one of those things that we worry about too much that doesn't really matter. You know, it doesn't really matter. So I wouldn't worry about it. Or when it's like, if there's a new player, oh, I have a new player that's coming to the game, you know, and I want to make sure I introduce them just right. I want to get the perfect introduction. It's a non-issue, man. Who cares? Just have them pop in there and start playing. Yeah, there might be a really cinematic, cool way that you could introduce that character. Sure. La-di-da. That's like a percentage of a fraction of the game. It's not worth worrying over. If something really cool occurs to you and you can implement it, great. But don't worry about it. You know, it's not gonna make or break your game. You know, your adventures and the quality of your villains, you know, and the pacing of your gameplay, you know, and there's so many other things that will do way more to elevate your game than worrying about little things that don't matter, you know. So it just goes in that category of things that game masters worry about that we shouldn't worry about. Yes, it is tea time. What did I have now? I have Whispering Wildflowers plus L-theanine. L-theanine? I don't know what that is. It sounds all like, you know, scientific and healthy or some crap. Oh no! It fell in. Zach, thank you, dude. Says, I wanted to say I love your videos and they've helped me a lot. Thank you, Zach. I appreciate that. I'm very happy to be able to help. Elf Hunter says, nice mug. I'll have to get something like that for games and streams. Yeah. You can get crap similar to this on Amazon. Just look for it. You can find it. This did not come off Amazon, but this company is no longer in existence. So good luck. Just you'll find something on Amazon, I'm sure. Or Etsy. Etsy is a lot of, I would say most of Etsy is like handmade crap, right? And so like mugs like this, you should definitely be able to find something like this on Etsy, 100%, if you can't get it on Amazon. Griffin Gosh says, is the DM's guide worth buying? I mean, look, if you're gonna run, if you are a game master and you're going to run the game, yeah, buy it. Like, just buy it, dude. It's like what, $40 on Amazon or something? Like, look, dude, you get the core rule books. You're gonna invest under $100, and you're gonna have everything you need to play the game for the rest of your life. If that's all you want to buy, that's all you need. It'll last you forever. A lot of us spend a lot more than that. We keep buying other little things, you know, which is fun. But I think I get a lot of use out of the Dungeon Master Guide. I was literally designing a Shadow Dark adventure yesterday, and I had the Dungeons and Dragons 2014 Dungeon Master Guide right here on my desk. And I didn't actually end up, I was going to use it to reference, like, at the very end of it, the appendix has like a random dungeon tables that, like, if your dungeon is a temple, these are the different rooms that are in it. If your dungeon is like a castle or something, these are different rooms that might be in it, you know. And I was going to use, because I was making a secret laboratory, and I was going to reference those tables to see what kinds of rooms I needed to put into my laboratory. I didn't actually end up using it because I was making my map and the types of rooms were just coming to my mind and I didn't need it, it turned out, but I was going to use it. And so, but my point is that there's useful stuff in there. And by the way, the magic items are in there. You probably want to give your players magic items, right? So like, I think it's worth buying. Are you going to find revolutionary game master advice in it? No, of course not. You know, that's not what it's for. It's you know, but there's gonna be useful crap in there, you know. So yeah, I think it's worth buying. If you're gonna be a game master, it's probably worth buying. Do you need it to run games? Not really. As far as magic items go, you could use the SRD, you know, that's in Creative Commons to get magic items. Or you can make up your own magic items. So. I don't know a whole lot about the 2024 Dungeon Master Guide. I own it. It's on my shelf. I don't think I've even opened it yet. I might have done a flip. No. I think I did a flip through review of it on a live stream once. So I think I have opened it. I don't know if I've opened it after that, but I can't tell you anything about it because I don't remember what I looked at in that review. If I even did a review. I think I did though. I'm pretty sure I did. Yeah, because I remember I did definitely do like a flip through review or something because I recall that there are no rules for how to create monsters. It literally does not tell you the math behind a monster's stat block. And I was flipping around in that thing and I was like, what do you mean it doesn't tell me how to make a monster? This is crazy because the monsters are clearly different in 2024, especially at higher CRs. And then I was like, maybe they put the math for monster creation in the monster manual, which would be really weird in my opinion, but maybe they put it there instead. Nope, it's not there either. They literally did not give us the math for how to create a monster for 2024. And I don't know why exactly. Like I have theories, I suppose. I have two theories. I don't know if either are correct. They're probably not correct. My first, you gonna come up here? You gonna come co-stream with me? I kicked the doggy out, you might as well. Come on, you big tub. Come on. This cat's crazy. Oh, no, the dog came down. Oh, another cat came down here. You wanna come up here? Yeah, it's mommy. It's mommy cat. Mommy cat. She doesn't come up here very often. So my leading theory on why the monster math isn't in the Dungeon Master Guide for 2024 is, hey, what's up, buddy? You're falling apart. This guy is shedding so bad. He's just got like fur, just tufts of fur coming out of him. What's up, buddy? My leading theory is incompetence. Hear me out. So imagine if like you don't have super tight math and you're not totally sure how you get a monster for this CR or that CR or this CR, and you're just kind of eyeballing it to a certain extent because it's part science but it's also part art, you know? And so it's like, well, because here's what happened. Because here's what literally happened, you guys. We have monster creation math for 2014. And when you use that math and you compare the monsters that are in the 2014 monster manual, they don't add up. Like the monster, they clearly used different calculations, different math, different parameters to create the monsters in the monster manual for 2014 than the math that they published in the 2014 Dungeon Master Guide. It's clearly different. Like if you go and look at different things, like some of it's gonna line up, but some of it is clearly not the same. It's like, what happened here? And so they clearly use different math to some extent, for monsters in the monster manual for 2014, right? And so can you imagine if you're the game designer, and this was something that they've been criticized about, right? And it's very, very clear to people who look at this, right? That this is something that doesn't make sense. You know, now imagine if you're looking at 2024 and you're like, well, probably the same thing's gonna happen, isn't it? If we publish the math isn't gonna work for most, or at least a lot of the monsters, and then people are gonna say, what's the actual math? So what do? Let's just not publish the math. Let's just not tell them. Then they can't criticize us for not following our own rules when we make monsters, right? So that's my leading theory. I think that's my leading theory. They really don't know what the math is, or there's part of it that's just kind of like, as a designer, I'm just using my gut here. Like, I know it doesn't make sense according to the math, but my gut tells me this, and so I'm doing this. And that's fair, because we all do that. As game masters, we all do that. It's like, well, you know, I know that this is supposed to be a deadly encounter, but that fighter has like crossbow expertise and sharpshooter and extra attack and all of this kind of stuff. And I know that his damage output is off the charts. So it's not actually deadly. And so we do this all the time as game masters. When we put on our game designer hats, we do this all the time. And so it's perfectly fair for a game designer that's designing monsters for the official book to say, I know what the math is, but it's wrong because I have experience and this is better. So that's fair, you know, but I think that was probably going on, I would imagine, to some extent. But at any rate, they're like, we're not publishing the math because the math isn't always perfect, you know. But they didn't give us the math. That's my first theory. What's my second theory? I had a second theory. My second theory is more nefarious, and I don't know if this is really true. It's just something that occurred to me. They didn't want to give us the math because they didn't want third party publishers to be able to publish monsters for 2024, which I don't think that's true. I don't think it's true because it's stupid. And the reason I think it's stupid is that it doesn't take very long to backwards engineer the math. Like if you go to Blog of Holding, it's a website, go to Blog of Holding, they've already backward engineered the math in detail. You can go read their blog post about all the math behind the 2024 monsters and stuff. Like our team took a look at the 2024 monster math and we came up with a very simple conversion guide that'll help you convert a 2014 monster to 2024 and vice versa. Like it's not super brain surgery. So like to not publish it in order to obfuscate the actual math and how to make 2024 monsters, I think doesn't make sense to me. I think it's stupid because people are going to figure it out anyway. But it just really it just begs the question, why didn't you publish the math? It just seems dumb. Like if the math isn't perfect, fine. Give me a paragraph where you explain, hey, I'm giving you the rules for how to create a 2024 monster. Here's the math. But here's the thing. It doesn't always work perfectly. Okay? Sometimes you're going to have to use your intuition as a game master to, you know, tweak things here and there. And hey, guess what? As game designers, when we made the monster manual, we did the same thing. So be forewarned that the math isn't always perfect, but it'll put you in the ballpark. Here you go. Something like that would have been fine. You know what I mean? But they gave us nothing. I don't know why we're talking about that, but somebody said something that sparked that conversation. Zach said, how to not make my game boring. I just want to entertain my players, but I don't know how to not make the game a slog. Okay, so I think there are two things off the top of my head that make a game a slog. The number one thing that makes a game a slog is slow combat. That's the number one thing, slow combat. And because a lot of the game ends up being combat for a lot of games, right? And if you have really slow combat, that can be a slog. And there are two things that make combat a slog. Two things. The first one is the players having committee discussions on every player's turn. And this is when it's this player's turn, right? It's this player's turn, but this player is like, oh, what if you did this? Oh, no. If you come over here and do this, that, and the other, da-da-da-da-da. And then this player is like, yeah, but wait, hold on a second. I have no hit points. You should heal me, you know? And then basically on this player's turn, all of the other players are discussing what they might do. What's the optimal thing to do on your turn? And then it turns into I call it a committee discussion. And then instead of this player just declaring what they're going to do and then resolving it, you end up having an entire group discussion about what they might do. And then the player is like, oh, what do I do now? He said this and he said this and she said that. And I wanted to do this. And now I don't know what to choose because, no matter what I choose, I'm saying no to 3 other people. And then they might be upset with me. And now I'm confused about what I should do. I'm exaggerating, obviously, to make a point. But when you have these committee discussions, that bogs the game down and it sucks. I hate it when players discuss tactics on every single player's turn. I literally have a house rule that I put in place to avoid that. At the beginning of every round, I tell my players, discuss tactics, right? They have about a minute or so to discuss tactics. Once we start playing that round, the entire goal is that you don't have these tactics discussions. You don't have committee discussions during the round because you already took care of that, right? And then if players start to do that, I will interrupt them most of the time and be like, whoa, hold on a second. Let's keep the tactics discussion to the beginning of the round. Yeah, but things have changed. I know things have changed, but we're not doing that. Okay, beginning of round, let him make his decision about what he's gonna do. Sometimes I'm lenient on that. If the fight is really looking bad for the players and they might all die, I will be much more lenient and I'll let them talk more, okay? Because they're trying to figure a way out of a TPK. So there are situations when Luke will relax and not enforce that rule quite as strongly. So be aware, okay? But most of the time, I try to quash that so that we don't have committee discussions during every single player's turn. That is like one of the biggest things that will bog down your combat, okay? The second thing that bogs down combat is monsters with very high armor class or very high hit points. Because when monsters have high hit points or high armor class, it just makes them live longer. And if they live longer, the combat takes longer. And it's usually a slog, okay? So if you're finding that your combats are slogs and they're boring, the 2 best things you can do are get your players to stop having committee discussions, because they probably are. I've seen this in almost every single group that I've played in. It is a thing that just happens naturally when you have turn-based combat, and like everything you do is super important usually, right? So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, take your monsters and just cut their hit points in half and double their damage. There you go, that's it. Cut their hit points in half, double their damage. It's like a rule of thumb, right? But that will probably keep your monster about the same strength. It's not actually probably going to be perfect, but it'll get you somewhere around the right area, and 5th edition's not terribly well balanced anyway, so who cares? But cut their hit points in half, give them twice as much damage. Then the monsters will die faster, but they'll do more damage. And your players will be getting damaged a lot faster. And they'll be like, holy crap, that monster hits hard. Oh, we got to do something. And they'll freak out a little bit. And that makes the combat more exciting. Okay, so those are 2 things you can do to make your combats less of a slog. And they're not hard to do. And then what's the other thing that makes, so combat, there were like 2 things that make the game a slog. Okay, I got the other one. I was trying to refresh what the other one was. Combat's the first one. I just told you 2 ways to make that better. And then the other thing that makes your game a slog, that will probably bore your players and make them less interested in playing, is when you're not prepared. When you as the game master are not prepared to run your game, when you're constantly having to look in the book, if you're running an adventure module, like let's say you're running Into the Fae or Curse of Strahd, and you're constantly having to look things up and read from the adventure module in order to run the game, that's a big problem. You don't want to do that. That slows the game down. It turns it into a slog. You want to be prepared. Like when I'm running a pre-made adventure module, my goal is to prepare well enough that I don't need to look at the module itself except for read aloud text. And then if there's like a loot list of what the enemy has, I'll look at it and read off what they have. But things like the role-playing notes, what the monsters are going to say, or the NPCs, you know, these things. Like I literally print a pre-made adventure module, and I use a bunch of highlighters. To highlight the printout. As I study it, I'm literally studying it, and I'm highlighting things, and I'm trying to memorize good portions of it so that I don't have to look at it during the game. And then what happens, and I'm not perfect at it, of course, right? I do my best, and sometimes I have more time than others to do this sort of thing. But if I do it well enough, what happens is that I have most of that adventure pretty, not totally memorized, but the important bits are right here, and then I can just run it without really having to look at a whole bunch of stuff, right? Or if I am looking at it, the players don't even notice because it's very quick. I'm just quick reference, boom, let's go again, you know? Or I know it well enough that I'm improvising stuff. Like, I don't know exactly this, that, and the other, but I'm just gonna improvise something. I'm gonna make it up because it'll be kind of close to what I was supposed to do, right? But that's the other big thing. Be prepared. Be prepared to run your adventure, to run your game. The more prepared you can be, more than likely, the smoother your game is gonna be. And that's the big deal, running a smooth game. A game where things are just flowing and things are happening and nobody's waiting on you, waiting on this, that, or the other, and you're just able to keep the game running. You know, you're adjudicating, you're describing a scene, players are declaring actions, you're telling them what happens as a result, you're asking for dice rolls, you're adjudicating, and things just move because you're prepared and you know what's going on, you know. Now, nobody's perfect, you know. Sometimes, like, I'm not prepared because I didn't have time for whatever reason, you know, and whatever, like, it's gonna happen, you know. But the more you can be prepared, the smoother your game's going to be, and you can just keep things rolling, and then it won't become a slog. But when you're looking at your notes all the time and trying to figure stuff out, then it becomes a slog, and you want to avoid that as much as possible. So that's the other big thing that you can do as a game master, so that your players don't get bored, is just be prepared. Kingmaker brings up a good point too. They said number one thing is out of character banter. Yes. If your players are constantly talking about stupid bullcrap that has nothing to do with the game, yep, that's gonna kill your game session. Actually, I sometimes have players, this is actually a pet peeve of mine. I'll have a player let's say we're playing Pathfinder 2, right? And then I'll have a player just out of nowhere be like, oh, did you guys get the new, like, Secrets of Magic book? And there's this cool thing in there that does this, that, and the other. And, like, okay, you're excited about a thing. That's great. But you're totally derailing the game away from us playing the game. And you're starting a group side conversation about something that might be really cool, but, like, it's not helping us run the game, and you're distracting us from what we're here to do, type of thing. So it's game related in a way, but it's not helping the game, right? That's a problem. And those types of comments, I try to get past those as quickly as possible, and not give don't give that conversation any room to breathe, so that we can continue playing the game. You know, if you want to talk about that, like, before the game session, before we actually get rolling, or after the game session, sure. Or we're taking the pizza break time and we're just kind of not playing because we're eating pizza or something. Yeah, whatever. Who cares? Talk about what you want, you know. But the other thing they'll do too is, like, we'll just be playing the game and someone will randomly be like, they'll talk about something from real life, like, oh, did you guys see this new car that came out? And I'm just like, dude. Like, I probably am not good at hiding my emotions, but I'll be like, my face will be saying, dude, who cares, man? Let's not talk about that right now. We're playing a game, dude. Keep that for later or something. So yeah, but the out of character banter that has nothing to do with the game, or kind of does but doesn't really, that will totally derail your game sessions, so that, like, nothing gets accomplished and there's, like, no productivity. So that's something to keep an eye on if your group has a problem with that. It doesn't happen too often in my groups, and I tend to be pretty brutally efficient about squashing that sort of stuff. What, you want to come up here now? Come on. This cat's so dumb. Squeaky's like, I want to go up there, but I don't want to go up there. You can see his head as he's like peeking up at me and stuff. What should I do while I wait for my turn during combat? It's usually like 30 minutes before it gets back to me. I feel you. Well, Austin, the question is do you play online? Because if you're playing online, the solution is simple. Yeah? You got a problem over here? You got a big problem, don't you? You're falling apart. You're falling apart up here. Yeah. That's right. Yes. Shedding all over the place. If you're playing online, just do something else while everybody else is taking their turns. Like, that's what I do. I'll be painting minis, or I'll be cleaning my guns, or I'll be doing something. This is the like ask anybody who plays online with me. Like, if I'm in a game with you online, the chances are I'm doing something else at the same time. Painting minis, like I said, cleaning my guns. I might be, sometimes I'll answer emails, or I have 3 monitors. I'll have one of my monitors and I'll be working on something, you know? Like, if it's combat, it's like all I have to do is kind of quasi pay attention. Every so often I'll glance at the combat map and I'll be like, yep, this is what I'm gonna do. I'll go back to doing my thing. And then I'll glance at the combat map and like, oh, it's almost my turn. I'm like 2 people away. Okay, cool. I'll go back to doing my thing, you know, and then it's like, oh, I'm taking damage. Oh shoot, I got hit. Okay, boop, boop, boop. Okay, cool. All right, going back to doing my thing, you know. And then when it's almost my turn, let's make sure, oh yeah, I'm not gonna do that anymore. I'm gonna do this now. Oh, okay, cool. That's what I'm gonna do. Great. Go back to doing my thing. And then it's, oh, Luke's turn. All right, cool. I'm gonna move here. I'm gonna attack twice. Here we go. I'm raging, so it's a +2 to my damage. There we go. Done. Okay, thank you. And then I go back to doing my thing. That's what you do, man. You gotta do something else. If you're playing online, it's simple. Now, if you're in person, it's a little harder, right? But this is more reason why I think it's important that game masters try to keep the combat going as quickly as possible. Because when it takes 30 minutes to get back to your turn, that sucks, you know? And 30 minutes is a long time to be waiting. Something crazy is going on. Either you have like 10 players in that group, which is not a good idea, generally speaking. Not for D&D 5th edition. Oh my gosh. Too many players. You have either too many players or something crazy is going on in people's turns, and they're taking a long time when they shouldn't be. I don't know. That just sounds crazy. All right, I'm scanning for more questions now. How would you handle the color of magic in the game? By color, I mean, what does the visual effect of the spells take? I just make crap up. Like when I cast a spell, whether I'm a player or whether I am the game master playing monsters, when I cast a spell, I usually, almost always, give a narrative description of casting the spell and what it looks like, right? I try to do that. I think it's cool. I think it adds to the game. You don't want to give like a 5-minute discourse on it. That's ridiculous. But like a couple sentences, just that adds some pizzazz to it. It's pretty cool. And I just make crap up. Who cares what color it is? One day my magic missiles are blue. The next day they're green. The next day they're purple. The next day they're transparent. I don't know. Who cares? I just make crap up. You know, and my players can make crap. It's all flavor. It's just flavor. It doesn't matter. And if there's no consistency to it, you know, one day your spells do this, and the next day they do that. Who cares? It's magic. I uttered the syllable with a slightly different intonation. And that's why the magic missiles came out purple this time. It doesn't matter, it's flavor, it's not mechanics, it's just cool flair. You know, so yeah, I just make crap up. You know, whatever seems cool at the time, I make it up. Crafty Matt, what's up, dude? How you doing, buddy? Hello from the browser, Bro SR. Thank you for the video made to spread old school techniques. And thank you, Jeffro. Yeah, dude, you're very welcome. So what did I do? I did the 1-to-1 timekeeping is the one I did last week? This week? I did it recently. And then I have a Brownstein video coming out in May. The Brownstein video comes out. Is it May or June? No, I think the Brownstein comes out in June. And then I have a Godstein video coming out too, and that one is coming out in July. So yeah, I love the old school crap. Like, I mean, I'm playing Shadow Dark right now, which is very old school vibes. So like, yeah, I love that crap. So I'm always happy to learn more about old school D&D and how that crap, some of the things and stuff they did. You know what I mean? So that's all good. If Harmony teaches me more old school crap, I'll have more topics to make videos on. So yell at Harmony to share other crap with me, and then I'll make videos on them. What kind of tea am I drinking today? Well, this tea right here is Whispering Wildflowers plus L-theanine. You gonna come up here? My cats have not had their dinner yet, and they're all bothering me. Yeah, we played a lot of our Curse of Strahd game online because the COVID crap was happening. And then once we were able to play back in person again, playing in person was so much more fun. It was really awesome. It was really awesome. Fred says, I painted minis at the table during in-person games, and I was always ready for my turn. Yeah. The thing is like painting minis, cleaning your guns, those are things that, you know, you don't need like all of your attention on that. You can also be listening to the game that's going on while you're doing those things. I've seen players that will be knitting, you know, like they'll have the yarn and they're knitting, you know, because you can do that. It's a quasi-mindless activity, or I should say that it's an activity where you can easily split your attention and do other things, you know? Like a lot of times when I'm painting my minis, I will be watching / listening to something on Netflix or whatever, you know, because, you know, you don't have to sit here and focus only on painting the mini. You know, you can listen to something while you're doing it, you know? 4 players is ideal, 5 is okay, 6 can be done, but it kind of sucks for the DM. Anything more than that is untenable. I feel like 4 players is really good. For a D&D game, 4 players, if we're talking about D&D 5th edition, 4 players is probably the best. I usually do 5 players, because if you have 5 players and 1 player is gone, hey, they can't make the game session. You got 4 players, it's a perfect group. If you have 4 players in your game and then one of them can't make a game session, 3 players isn't the best size group in my opinion. So I've always picked 5, because then when somebody's not there, we still have a really good number for a game. So that's why I always go with 5 personally, because things come up. Sometimes people miss a game session, you know? And if we only have 3, it feels like it's not that many people to play a game, you know? For D&D 5th edition, at least. Now, for something like Shadow Dark, my Shadow Dark game has 6 players in it, and I have no problem at all, you know, because it's rules light and things just move faster. You can have more players when you have a rules light game. It works okay. You know, it's not as big of a problem. I don't think I would go too many more than 6, you know, because then you start to run into other problems too. But the biggest problem with D&D 5th edition is combat. Combat takes forever, and the more players you have, the longer combat takes. You know, so holy crap! If you had 6 players in a D&D 5th edition combat, oh wow, 10 players, oh gosh. Nobody's going home tonight. We gotta get this battle. It's like an easy encounter. It's gonna take us 20 hours. So yeah, but when you're running like OSR, rules late games, and like Shadow Dark and crap like that, combat goes much faster, and so you can have more players. Ron says, "Hey Luke, I just wanted to say I do something similar to what you've suggested in the past. I have a little minute glass that I turn over as soon as I tell the player it's their turn. Yeah, you little hourglass, you turn it over, and so they have to take their turn. Yeah. The interesting thing is like I was watching. This was about a year and a half ago. I was watching a video. It was who was it? It was Chris Perkins, and then it was either Jeremy Crawford in the video or it was the other guy that remember when they were doing all of the hype talk for one D&D 2024, and there were always 2 people in those hype videos. It was Jeremy Crawford and one other guy, and I can never remember what that guy's name is. What was that guy's name? It was always the 2 of them in those the hype videos, you know, the ones where they told us all the hype, you know, about one D&D. What was the name of the other guy? Somebody knows who that guy was. I'm waiting for chat to tell me. No, it wasn't Chris Perkins. It was Jeremy Crawford. Todd Kendrick. That's who it was. Todd Kendrick. So, I was watching a video, and I'm pretty sure it was Todd Kendrick and Chris Perkins, and they were having a back and forth conversation about different like dungeon master advice and dungeon master tips. And there was a portion of the video where they started to talk about they talked something about slow combat or something along those lines, and then they were talking about suggestions to speed things up, you know. And at one point, one of them mentioned something about how some people will use hourglass timers like that. And then both of them were basically like, yeah, that's stupid, don't do that. And they were like kind of like laughing about it, you know what I mean? And I saw that and I was like, that's what I've done. And guess what? It works really well. If you got players who can't make decisions and they're going to sit there for 5 minutes waffling back and forth, an hourglass timer works really well. You can sit there and laugh at it, but it works. So anyway, I just remember that. Who knows? I mean, there's a part of me that's like, maybe they saw one of my videos and they thought that was stupid and now they're laughing about it. Probably not. I'm not the only one who has the idea of hourglass timers for slow players, because players that take forever making up their minds in combat are all over the place. And there are probably, you know, hundreds of dungeon masters who've been like, hourglass timer, make up your mind faster, or you lose your turn. And the players are like, ah. I'll tell you though, it only takes one time for a player losing their turn, and they will never lose their turn again, because they'll make up their minds a whole bunch faster. Once they know it's a thing, then they're not gonna like it at all. Overboard says it does work. It 100% works. It 100% works. Ron says, yeah, it does. If you don't declare an action in a minute, you're doing total defense and I move on. Yeah, you're dodging. Oh, sorry, you're dodging this turn. Move on. Yeah, my mic is on a boom stand right up here. It's not a dynamic mic. It is a condenser mic, and that's just the way it works. I'm not gonna put it next to my mouth. I'm just not going to. I'm sorry. The Bud was in a 15-player game of D&D, AD&D at GaryCon this year. 6 hours of chaos. Oh my gosh. Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. That's like second edition, right? I think you're talking second edition. Yeah, 15 players is crazy. I don't know how you do that. I have 6 in my Pathfinder 2 game. I have 6 players in my Pathfinder 2 game, and it's too many. It is too many. It's too many. But it's what I got, and I like them all. I like all of them. So it's like, it's not like I'm gonna kick anybody out. But it is too many players. It's too many players, especially for Pathfinder 2. Pathfinder 2 is even more rules heavy than D&D 5th edition. So there's even more reason to have fewer players, and yet here I have 6, which is too many. But they're all really cool people, so I'm not gonna like go up to one of my friends and be like, yeah, I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to leave. That wouldn't be cool. And I wouldn't want to do that. Those are my friends. Since D&D combat takes such a long time, what games would you recommend to really scratch that fast combat itch? Anything rules light. Anything rules light, combat will go faster. And you know, the ironic thing about D&D 2024 is that they made combat slower by introducing the weapon mastery stuff. Ironically, they added more rules in to make things more interesting, which results in slower combat. So they're going in the wrong direction, in my opinion. But when you're using a rules light game system like Shadow Dark or OSR or Castles and Crusades, probably is, I think, is more rules light, that for sure, than D&D 5th edition. You're gonna get faster combat. So you just have to. The more rules you have, the more complex the system, the longer combat will take. That's just the way it is. So that's the standard, I guess you judge it by, or whatever. Wait a minute, what's going on with Luke's hair? He's wearing caps now. Yeah, there's nothing. My hair's fine. I was out with my wife. We were doing stuff today, and I was wearing a hat because I wanted to wear a hat. Like, it was sunny out and crap, and I was gonna be outside a little bit, and I was like, I'm gonna wear a hat. And so what happens when you wear a hat is you get hat hair, right? You get hat hair, and it looks like crappiness. So for the stream, I'm gonna wear a hat. Yeah, but I haven't gone bald yet. Not yet. How would you run chase scene encounters? I had this great chase scene planned for my players. The players ended up targeting enemies' mounts, cutting my encounter shorter than planned. Well, yeah, your players are smart. That's what I do too. Like, sometimes my players, bless their hearts. This one time I had players who got their hands on, what are the horses with wings? Not Pegasus. Was it Pegasus's? Okay, somebody who knows Forgotten Realms. In Waterdeep, part of their military is they have mounts that can fly and people that ride them. What are the names of those steeds, though? Hippogriffs. Okay, so they had the hippogriff riders of Waterdeep. Yes. Okay, so this one time, my players were playing Princes of the Apocalypse. And for D&D 5th edition, this is years ago, they were playing Prince of the Apocalypse, and there's this one part of that module where there is a tower where there are hippogriffs in it. And my players got their hands on hippogriffs. There were 5 players, every single one of them had a hippogriff. And they had hippogriffs. They were riding around. And they were able to just fly anywhere. And they were, when you can fly, all of the like random encounters or planned encounters on the ground become meaningless, And, there's a certain point which you might say that they are meaningless and therefore why bother, but they also can add flavor to the game world, and you can do cool things with them instead of just flying directly to the adventure points and stuff. So anyway, they were using these hippogriffs, and I kind of didn't like it, I'll be honest, you know, because they're bypassing some of the cool stuff in the game just by flying directly over them, you know. And so, but then I was like, well, the interesting thing here is that you have hippogriffs that have no armor, they have few hit points, they have a low armor class, and then you have a heavily armored character on the hippogriff. If you're a bad guy, who are you attacking? You have a hippogriff up here, you know, out of reach, and the character is wearing heavy armor. Are you shooting at the character in heavy armor? Or are you shooting at the hippogriff? You're probably shooting at the hippogriff. Now, an argument could be made that hippogriffs are valuable. Therefore, if you can kill the characters and capture the hippogriffs, you're going to win. You know, that's a good prize to have. Yes, that's a valid argument, right? But if they're just peppering you with arrows and you're going to lose unless something changes, you're going to shoot the hippogriffs, right? You're going to shoot them. And so my players were like, we have hippogriffs. And my bad guys were like, yeah, and we're going to start killing them. And that's what happened. We got to a point where there were 5 players and 4 of them, their hippogriffs had been killed. There was only 1 player, Nigel, who still had his hippogriff. Okay, 1 player had his hippogriff. And when he was the last one with the hippogriff, he took the hippogriff to Waterdeep and literally paid a stable hand to just take care of him. Like, sometimes he would bring him out for an adventure, but almost always he just left him in Waterdeep and just was like, he was like in the hippogriff spa, basically, just being taken care of. Because he's like, I don't want somebody to kill my hippogriff. And the bad guys are shooting at hippogriffs, you know? So, it's totally the thing to do. It totally makes sense. And so what were you saying again? Somebody had a question. Oh, a chase scene. The players ended up targeting enemies' mounts, cutting my character. So this is what I do for chase scenes. I run a skill challenge. Anytime there is a chase scene, I simply run a skill challenge. That's it. It's I believe 4th edition D&D is where the skill challenge originated. And then I have a video that talks about skill challenges for D&D 5th edition. I have I think there's an issue of Lair magazine that talks about skill challenges. Let's see if I can find that really quick. I'm just mentioning this because there's some people that might want to go get the skill challenge and then learn how to do it. Let me see. Lair magazine skill challenge. This is my blog post about it. So there's a blog post where it'll explain how to do it. I have an entire video that will tell you how to do it. And then I know that I have a PDF. Here we go. So Wish and Waste is Lair magazine number 18. This is the one that has our entire skill challenge system like literally written out so that for easy reference and stuff. So and then I'm pretty sure these adventures use skill challenges in them as well. Usually we would tend to do that. If we're giving you like a system, we tend to include examples of that in the adventures for that issue. So if you want like the printable way, you know, for skill challenges for 5th edition, you can get it there. But I have a blog post that walks you through it that you can just read for free. And then I also have a video that you can just watch too. You know, you can go to this video and watch it. And so if you don't want to pay for it, you don't have to. So if my point is, what I'm trying to get at is I'm not going to explain to you how to run a skill challenge because you can just go watch a video or read a blog post about it and you'll figure it out, right? But what I'm telling you is that if you're running a chase scene, a skill challenge is the way to do it. 100% every time. It's beautiful. It's simple, it's effective, it gets the job done. You know, and you can have beautiful narration, cinematic stuff gets described. It's beautiful. Well, Pegasi or whatever, they exist in D&D. I just knew that it wasn't a Pegasus. It was like the hippogriffs. It was something different. I just couldn't remember what the name was. Okay, I'm gonna draw the winner to the giveaway because we're donezo. If you didn't enter the giveaway, I'm sorry. I mentioned it at least a couple times. Oh, hey, this person sounds familiar. I know this person has won before. I recognize your name. Evan from Belleville, Michigan. You have won, good sir. Evan from Belleville, Michigan. You have won the giveaway. I will send you an email. We'll get you hooked up with $50 DM Lair store credit. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, Tommy. Tommy just got here. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's 8 o'clock. It's my bedtime, which means that the stream is over and I'm gonna go to bed. I'll be back here next Thursday. We'll do the same thing, talk and answer questions and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll see you then. Have a wonderful evening.